evening, everybody. It's 6:02. I am looking for a motion to open this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you all very much. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. We will begin, Anthony, with some mayoral appointments, please.
Yes, sir. I'll start with the first one.
Let me get my microphone over here a little bit.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of the 2024 seasonal park staff with an effective date of June 24th, 2024. Parks, Noah Kent, $20 per hour. Ewan Lugan, $18 per hour.
Okay, I will make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And these gentlemen will be adding to our downtown crew for the Main Street and Village. That's where they're going for the summer.
Thank you, Trustee Resta. Okay, next.
Second
Anthony.
one. Resolved, Mayor Manger appoints and the Board of Trustees approve Eileen Powers, ESQ, to be approved to the position of full-time village attorney at a salary of $158,100.00, effective June 14th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion. So this was, again, the intention ever since last year to have a full-time attorney. And Eileen now has cleared her calendar enough that she is able to take on the additional hours on behalf of the village. So that is why at this time we are moving her to full-time at the salary that actually was established last year with a 2% increase.
Forgive me, but didn't we vote on something like this at the last meeting to make Eileen full-time, or am I crazy?
Not that I know.
I
think
don't
it was
recall.
there was a budget. It was in the budget.
It was in the budget, and that's what you're probably thinking of. Yeah.
Great.
But this is the official with the effective date of tomorrow. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome again.
All right, next, please.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Kibra Gill to the position of seasonal office assistant in the village clerk department at an hourly rate of $26.00, effective May 31st, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next. Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the hiring of the 2024 seasonal police staff with an effective date of June 14th, 2024. Seasonal police officer Connor Spencer, $27 per hour, 3 to 4 days per week. And traffic control officer Louis Rena, $20 per hour.
And that's actually in place of a TCO that
Hogan,
had
yes.
been previously hired, who is no longer here. So this is just replacing that individual. So again, I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the letter of resignation from Mark Schiffer as the chairperson of the Planning Commission, effective June 7th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. I just want to thank Mark for his years of service to this village. He requested this resignation to be effective now, and so we are accepting it. But again, I just want to thank Mark for, again, his years of service to the village and specifically the Planning Commission, and we certainly wish him all the best.
Just to expand on that, when I came onto the board, you had asked me to kind of be a liaison to that group, and we gave them an agenda, and they met the mark. So Mark, that was a pun. I just got it. But anyway, yeah, it's a terrific job that he did.
All right, so we made the motion. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mayor Manger appoints and requests a motion for the Board of Trustees to approve the following position. Planning Commission, Christian Pico, to be appointed as chairperson with a term expiring June 30th, 2025. Vice Mark Schiffer.
Yeah, so I'll make the motion.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So now we are open for public comment. If anyone would like to come to the podium and speak for 3 minutes, please come forward. Do we have anyone that
Sir, I
signed
have
up?
one person that's signed in on the list, Judy Johnson.
Oh, Judy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And just if you can, just speak into the mic nice and loud for
Might
us.
wanna lower it a
yes,
little
I'm
bit.
a little short these days.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
evening, Mayor, trustees, lawyer, and neighbors. I noticed the season had begun a few weeks ago when 2 cars within minutes made U-turns on Main Street to park on the other side. This is a season when our population grows exponentially. My purpose tonight is mainly to applaud and compliment all of the staffs of this wonderful village. The road crews, the public works, all the office workers, everyone who has worked so hard to prepare for the season here. I'm glad that they repaved the Hill Street near the movies. And I like those little islands there because they're full of little cat mint. They fixed that up. And they even have a new crosswalk down near Halsey Street because people, that's a very dangerous road.
You're correct.
When I come home anytime coming east on Hill Street in the late afternoon, I am like the only one heading
That's
east.
true.
Okay? The other thing is the LVIA has had these planters all over the town. They have in them 12 geraniums, 4 white flowers, and ivy in all 4 corners. And there are new trash containers. They are very nice. There's even some down at Little Plains Beach with a big sign that tells you there's no lifeguard because a lot of people just assume there's somebody there. All of these things keep our village clean and welcoming. And I think we should try to continue to publicize that. Traffic is a big issue here. Rolling through stop signs seems to be the latest hobby I've noticed, but most everybody is law-abiding. And the 30, 20, and 35 mile per hour signs that have been posted more frequently are having an impact. We do have many bicycles, we always have, some scooters, motorcycles, especially at Starbucks, and now 2 adult tricycles for people that I happen to know, and a lot of more electric scooters.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very easily missed because it's just a person standing there with one foot on the scooter. I think it's important that we publicize some rules about all of these kinds of transportation. And I noticed in the agenda you have included electric bicycles. The daffodils and all the wonderful dogwood flowers are gone now. But the village is green and gorgeous with canopies of branches over many streets. Cooper's is in excellent shape. The place is immaculate. And we can all enjoy the vistas because there are benches everywhere around the town, memorial benches. Let's keep this area and remind everybody that they're not just here to drive around and use the place and leave their dirty laundry in our containers, but to keep it pristine and focus on the motto that was given on our 375th anniversary in 2015 down at the Southampton History Museum. And that motto was commemoration of the past, celebration of the present, and preservation, most of all, for the future. Thank you very much. And please, everybody go vote next Friday.
Thank you very much, Judy.
Thank you.
That was very kind. We certainly appreciate that. And
Well deserved.
thank you.
So, sorry, Nancy McGann. I have a question. I think it was about 3 weeks ago on the online Southampton Press, there was an article of how the village is looking at certain properties that they might consider building some workforce housing. I looked at it, I tried to find it in the print press, and I haven't been able to find it in the print press. Could you elaborate on that? Because some of that's parkland.
No,
And-
no. What was discussed as a proposal by BFJ, the firm that actually did the comprehensive plan in 2000 and then again in 2022, talked about the possibility of having workforce housing in the office district. So it was nothing to do with parkland. It only had to do with the office district as an option for additional housing. Specifically, actually, it was along Hampton Road in the office district and also along North Sea Road in the office district.
So the parcel that is along North Sea Road, which is next to 7-Eleven.
That was acquired by CPF, and that could not be
Okay, but
changed.
they had that on there. I saw it on there.
Well,
mean,
I think
they
that was
had that- yeah.
done in error, because the only way that could be used for anything other than a park would be, again, to go to the state government in Albany and ask for them to change that parkland.
Which was my concern. I didn't want that to happen.
No,
when
no,
I
that's-
saw that was shaded in.
Well, I can assure you,
as a
Nancy,
possibility.
that's not a proposal.
Okay, because quite honestly, I mean, we talk about workforce housing. There's such a need for workforce
Yeah.
housing. It definitely has to be east of the canal because obviously the traffic is so backed up west of the canal. People can't get in here. Our roads are ridiculous. I guess I'm overly sensitive because of the change of the status of the Jane Dozier property, which you want to use. I know we're going to vote on that,
Yeah.
but I am not in favor of changing park status to being used for something else. So when I saw that, I thought, what are we doing here? We're a village of less than 7 square miles.
Yeah.
And we're trying to accommodate workforce housing. The way that I think it should be done is that you should look at certain houses and give them the right to have apartments in the houses. That's another way of doing it. But when I think about all of the land that was preserved between the county, okay, and the town over the years through community preservation, when I think about that, and I think about that has really created the issue because all this land that is now preserved, people can't stay here. Even local people can't stay here.
Yeah.
The value of their properties has gone through the roof. They're now saying, do I have to work so hard to stay here? Let's go someplace else. And
Yeah.
a lot of our locals are leaving. And it's most unfortunate because you're not going to have firemen and you're not going to have ambulance and you're not going to have all of that. And that needs to be looked at. But the county and the town, if we could change the Jane Dozier property, I call it Jane Dozier because I remember her, the Jane Dozier property, if we could change the status of that, which you are in the middle of doing, why can't they change the status and build workforce housing? Like the county has lots of land over in Sabonic. Those roads are easy to get in and out of.
Yeah.
That should be done that way. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
And the fact that we voted an additional 5% when a property transfers is ridiculous. For the amount of money that community preservation has now, part of that should have gone to create workforce housing. And they should take some of that land and change it so that they can create it because they created the problem.
Right.
All right.
Right. So yeah, just to explain to you a little bit how the process works to alienate parkland like that. It did have to go through the state assembly. It had to be voted on in the state senate, and then had to be signed into law by the governor.
Right.
And Governor Hochul did sign the legislation to swap the property at Dozier with a larger parcel on the west side of Lake Agawam, and that was signed back in the fall. But now, as you correctly stated, it has to go before the town voters for final approval.
Right.
So that's
And
the
I- and I-
process
and I-
for changing parkland.
Yeah, and I know that you know this because I've been here before
Yeah.
talking about it. It upset me because it was the only place for the village to be able to expand the children's playground. And I also said that the algae buster, I'm concerned about the algae buster. It's new technology. We have no idea what is spewing up in the land, up in the air, and it's right next to the children's playground, which to me is very risky. I mean, I know they say it's great, but we don't know.
Right.
So I just want to voice that. I wish that had never been changed. You could have taken it and put it over on the other side. I know they were going to do the garden there, but it could have gone over there with the stuff under the road. It's the only place to expand the playground.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So, I mean, and we should have a larger playground. It's nice, but it's small.
Well, the proposal also, though, Nancy, just to clarify, is that it would be a temporary, that we would not have an algae harvester there forever.
Right.
But it would be temporary. Hopefully, we can get the sewer system online,
Right.
and we would not have the effluents leaching into Lake Agawam that we do today.
Well, that's if you put all the people on First Neck Lane in the sewer,
Yeah, but
because that's part of the problem.
But that's true. But a majority, actually, from the engineers that I've spoken to, is flowing from the north to the south in that area. And really, the central business district is causing the problem because it has a very high water table, as you probably know. Yeah.
Well, I
But
just
thank you,
wanted
Nancy.
to-
I appreciate it. Thank you. Do we have anyone else?
Nobody else?
Anyone on Zoom, Sage? Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again very much for the comments. So now we have a board presentation that will be given by the brand new incoming chairperson of the Planning Commission, Christian Pico, and it's on fines and offenses. Christian, you can approach the podium, please. Thank you for being here.
Great to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. And first of all, thank you for your trust in appointing me to be the chair of the Planning Commission. It certainly...
We're stuck for a year, even if we don't like it.
Yes, I know you are. But it's certainly an honor and privilege to succeed to Mark Schiffer. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank him for his leadership and wish him the best as he focuses on his health as a priority. I've gotten to know him well over the years, and I'm confident he will recover with great fortitude. I would encourage residents to visit us on the first Thursday of every month at 5:30, though the next meeting will be on July 11th, since July 4th, the first Thursday of July, we will celebrate
You know, that's going to
Independence
be
Day.
a problem because the village board has a meeting scheduled for that same night. So we'll
We'll
have to work
we'll
that
have
out.
to choose what's a priority then. You and I can debate that. All right, I wasn't aware of that, but yes. All right, thank you for that. Just to give you, before I speak about penalties and offenses, just a few things that we'll work on at the Planning Commission for the year coming. Over the next 12 months, we will work on three main topics. The first one is with the tower operator, which you on the board will have chosen shortly to benefit the reception for emergency services, to improve public safety and cellular receptions for residents and visitors. The second item that we'll work on will be to expand our work on trees, pivoting our attention from public to private trees as mapped out in the master plan. And three, work on a commercial district vitality. And we have a kickoff meeting that's scheduled next Tuesday with the initial team for that. The mayor, Trustee Stevenson, Eldon Scott, former Planning Commission member and expert in urban marketplaces, and Jeannie Strulas from the Planning Commission. We'll work on planning the work, including clear vision and mission statements for this particular effort, so we can work to plan and produce some results. I know in the master plan, a lot of it was been addressed tactically, but we really need to think strategically, and hopefully we have, I know, the right people to start this. Now, in terms of the presentation for tonight, I understand in the board packet, but not in this copies here, there was the report from the Planning Commission on the topic at hand. But certainly, the purpose of this discussion is fundamental to government. And I'll start with a conclusion. Ask yourself this question: what is the point of legislating if what you put on the books is not enforced? Now ask yourself, why would a land use board member serve to make decisions if they're not upheld? Now that I know I have your attention, let's go through the facts. The subject was raised as a result of regular complaints of code enforcement, and local law number 7 of 2020 which established uniform penalties for violation to Article 2 of Chapter 1 of the Code without any regard to the implications following each code section. I guess these are collateral damages of COVID when this law was passed. But look, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different result isn't working. And the Planning Commission put together a task force of 3 village residents, all 3 with law degrees, and 2 commission members led by Michel Bourgard. We met several times. The debates were animated, and a memo which you have and the public has with recommendation was sent. Michel asked me to fill in for him this evening as he's traveling and just go through some of the recommendation. And first, describe that we have 3 types of offenses in your code: vehicle issues like moving and parking violations, peace in good order like a noisy summer party or a gas leaf blower, and 3, construction not according to building permit or lack of permit altogether. You have 5 different parties in the enforcement: the police department, the building department, code enforcers, a prosecutor, and a judge. So vehicle issues are dealt by the SVPD, and the process of enforcement works. New handheld ticketing devices will make it even better. Peace and good order issues are handled by either SVPD or code enforcers, and the process is work in progress with additional resources. Nonetheless, the court records show very little activity outside vehicular infractions and nothing from building permit infractions. And the fundamental issue is why? Will the reorganizations in addition of code enforcement staff help, and do the fines need to be increased? One idea that was considered was to establish a tiering of village code violation fines, clarifying the severity of offenses into Class A offenses, B, C, and D, with corresponding predetermined minimum and max ranges of fines. That's quite an undertaking, and suggested that more urgent priorities are tackled first, as we think their impact will be limited. Another consideration is to increase the $2,000 blanket penalty of Section 117. This is the Article 2 of Chapter 1 I was referring to earlier in your code. 2 points here. 1, that section reads actually $2,000 per day as long as the infraction is not cured. So it can quickly have teeth for anyone in earnest. 2, the prosecutor has never come close to those amounts for anything. And also note that the prosecutor has deep roots in the community, whereas much of the legal advice, land use board and elsewhere, is now provided from people who live outside the village. The task force suggests that the village building department should be more systematic in issuing violations when observed, and that a prosecutor should substantially up the fines up to the existing limits of $2,000 and let the judge adjudicate. Imposing a stop work order without imposing a fine simply means that we seek remediation without consequence. Task Force suggests creating a Southampton Village Building Department Policies and Procedure Manual to facilitate, standardize, and systematize the application of the code, especially in terms of issuing formal notices of violations immediately. The building department and code enforcement officers would have a clear, established guideline to act instead of engaging in verbal negotiations about remedial and timelines. So let me just go back to the conclusion I started with earlier. What is the point of legislating if what you put in the books is not enforced? And the building community knows it very well, that it can ask for forgiveness instead of permission without any tangible consequence. It doesn't have to be that way in Southampton, and it isn't that way in our neighboring community. So that is the conclusion of the work that we had done on the subject. Any thoughts or questions? be happy to answer on behalf of Michelle and the Planning Commission who worked on that.
I gather Mark McIntyre and our counsel, Eileen Powers, was also part of the group. That's wonderful. I think the idea of the tiers with respect to Class A, B, C, and D is a very good idea. It kind of separates the important stuff from the less important stuff, so it's not all treated as the same. And I also think the recommendation of a policies and procedures for the building department is an excellent idea as well. It should be systematized and it should be standardized. I agree with, I thank you for those recommendations.
So, yes, Trustee Zanotti, I would certainly think the latter is a priority over the former. Trying to redo this whole code and go through all of this, if you don't have policies and procedures for your building department, is just waste of your time and money and energy from your council redoing all of this. And I think that can be done once you have a process in place, which you don't today.
Were you able, and I don't know, you may not know this, were you able to look at other localities and see if they have such a document?
In terms of looking at building department
Right.
process, no,
Okay.
have not. And that's
Yeah.
certainly something that if you were to go down that path, one would need to look at that and see what can be done in that direction and how to get best practices from other communities, because we certainly know that we have standards here that the building community knows that it doesn't have to ask for permission. It can get away with forgiveness.
Thank you.
I would like to add that last Tuesday, the 4th of June, in the village court, there were 6 convictions for gas leaf blowers. And in each offense, a $500 fine was collected. So we are ramping up enforcement. And in fact, we have just retained an additional part-time code enforcement officer who will be joining after she is trained and will be on board. So we will have better coverage in the village later this month, beginning of July.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you, and congratulations on your appointment.
Okay, thank you very much, Christian. We will move on to correspondence to the board.
Sir, we had 2 correspondences from the board. First one is a correspondence from Jeannie Yoa-Risi, and that was regarding speed humps on Halsey Street. Second correspondence is from Baluma Pico, and that was concerning pedestrian signals and traffic-related issues.
One of the concerns that Ms. Pico had, which I guess she was unaware of, and it's a big concern for everyone, the problem on the corner of Job's Lane and Main Street, that light. So we are ready to install the new traffic light in September. It's been a very long process with the engineers because it had to be a special design because of the way the road is angled. And about a year and a half ago, the first design was not accepted because the pole for the light was going to block the front of the Presbyterian church. So we did not. They had to start from scratch again. So it's been a long process, but hopefully everything is supposed to be coming in this month, and we will have that light will be changed in September. That's the target date for that in the fall. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We can go to suggested resolutions.
Okay, number 1, resolve the claims for the warrant of June 13th, 2024 totaling $640,022.47. Warrant number A1 General Fund, $1,056,896.53. Warrant number H1 Capital Fund, $212,057.16. Warrant number A2 Payables, $3,490.98. Warrant number T1 Trust Fund, and $995 warrant number CS1 CS Trust Fund are audited and approved. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the reading for the minutes for the January 2024 BOT meetings are dispensed, accepted, and filed by the village clerk, and the actions taken at those meetings are hereby ratified and approved.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it hereby resolved that the village board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on July 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the village meeting room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, 11968, to hear all and any persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 97-35 Subdivision of Land Design Standards, Land Use to comply with state law. This is the park fee law. We're making some changes to it that have been determined not to be in compliance with state law. That's all.
Yeah, this was a very old
Right. Issue.
code portion that was outdated at this point based on some recent
Case
legal
law.
cases.
Right.
And so we are updating the code to comply with that. So yes, I'll make a motion that we move this to public hearing on the 11th of July.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that the following proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under SECRA, and that no further review under the New York Environmental Conservation Law is necessary, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on July 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Village Meeting Room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, Southampton, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 82-7 of the Village Code, General Peace and Good Order, Bicycles on Streets, Vehicles on Sidewalks, Skating, by adding electric assist bicycles and electric scooters. That's
Yeah. I'll make the motion. This was brought to our attention by Chief Hurto. I don't know, Chief, did you have any comments you wanted to raise on this?
No, I'm just happy that we're adding it to the village code.
Yeah, because we have nothing to enforce this at this time. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 3, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that the following proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and that no further review under SECRA is necessary. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held at a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on July 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Village Meeting Room at Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street in Southampton to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 110-43 of the Village Code, Vehicles and Traffic, by updating and amending Schedule L, stopping, standing, and parking restrictions.
So I'll make the motion.
Second?
Discussion. So again, I'm a little bit of a wonk, and I looked at the village code and saw that many of the code regarding stopping, standing, and parking in the village is very outdated. So outdated that we would have a problem trying to prosecute some of these in court. So this really is bringing the code up to 2024. I don't think this has been done in decades, literally. And it was something that I wanted to clean up. I think it's high time that we clean up the code where there are errors and outdated portions of it. And so this really is doing that. And we will have a public hearing so that anyone can come forward and discuss any of the stopping, standing, and parking restrictions on the 11th of July. So with that, I have a motion, a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Number 6, be it hereby resolved that the Village Board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on July 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Village Meeting Room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street in Southampton to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 21 Records Public Access to designate the village administrator as the one responsible to consider FOIL appeals. This would be naming the village administrator in lieu of the Board of Trustees. So,
And the main reason for that is that we don't meet frequently enough to be
comply
able
with
to
state law.
handle the FOIL time restrictions.
Right.
So this will clear that up. So I will make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 7, whereas the Southampton Village Police Department has submitted a grant application to the New York State's Law Enforcement Technology Program for funding to assist in the acquisition of law enforcement technology and equipment for the police department, enabling and enhancing safety for police officers and village residents. And whereas the Southampton Village Police Department has been successfully awarded a grant of $355,620 from said program, now therefore be it hereby resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the $355,620 grant from the New York State's Law Enforcement Technology Program. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.
Whereas the Board of Trustees authorizes the village clerk to issue a request for bid for interested parties regarding the purchase of windows for the Village of Southampton, to review submitted proposals received at Village Hall by a notice of public bid with the deadline of May 31st, 2024, 2 p.m., and make recommendations to the board regarding applicants. And whereas the village clerk has received one bid application and has made the recommendation to the board, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees awards the contract to Spionk Lumber Corp. To purchase windows for Village Hall at a cost of $37,106 to be funded from Village Capital Reserve. And be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the following amendment to the 2023-2024 and 2024-2025 capital budget. Decreased Village Hall lead paint abatement 2023-24 capital budget in the amount of $32,182.90. Add Village Hall new windows 2024-2025 capital budget in the amount of $32,182.90. Increase Village Hall new windows 2024-2025 capital budget by the amount of $4,923.10, subject to permissive referendum. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll talk about that. So this is this is all a part about restoring our crumbling Village Hall here, and not these windows, but the windows on the first floor, starting from the clerk's office all the way around to the front, are going to be replaced with the historic windows that they are now. When they did the lead abatement, the wood was actually flying all over the place. They couldn't be painted and repaired and fixed, and they all leak and everything else. So it was time just to replace them in totality, and that's what that's about. So I'm happy, and I can't wait for that to be done. So
Okay, thank
all
you.
in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor of the Village Board of Trustees to enter and execute agreements with Island Elevators utilizing the county contract for the maintenance, inspections, and repair of elevators in village-owned properties, including Village Hall, the police department, and the ambulance facility, subject to the approval of the village attorney. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. And this is being done because for some crazy reason, each building had a different contract for the elevators. So this is taking everything and putting it all together. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolve the Board of Trustees authorizes the following vehicle to be deemed surplus at the recommendation of Steve Phillips Jr., DPW Superintendent, and Mark Maddock, Central Garage Superintendent. Building Department Vehicle 2005 Ford Escape VIN 1FMYU 93145 KD 38993. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bill.
Oh, resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor of the Village Board of Trustees to execute an agreement with VHB Engineering, Surveying, Landscape Architecture, and Geology PC, VHB, amending the 2021 Traffic Calming Study Agreement to provide additional traffic engineering services to assess the traffic conditions at various locations within the Village of Southampton. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Whereas, can you hear me?
Is that on, or do we need this one? I think that's better. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the Board of Trustees authorizes Fluid Imagery Technology Services to perform services for the Village of Southampton at Cooper's Beach to strengthen the existing network infrastructure by providing additional networks, new firewall protections, new access points, and power protections. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the estimate provided by Fluid Imagery of West Hampton Beach, New York, in the amount of $7,674,000 to be funded through the Village Capital Reserve, subject to permissive referendum. Are we in favor of this?
Say so moved.
So moved.
So moved. Are we in favor?
Second. All in favor?
Aye. And
Well-
thank you, Anthony, for negotiating that contract.
Yes, I would like to say something. Thank you, Mr. Carter, for assisting me in that. That was something that was very much on my plate from last year. This is going to enhance our Wi-Fi at the beach. We are now cashless at the beach. So this will also be able to reach our booth there so that we have smooth transactions. And this is another enhanced product and service for our guests as well as our vendor, because times have changed and technology has moved forward and it hasn't been updated in quite some time. So I'm happy to see that I had a collaboration and support of Anthony Carter with having this come to fruition from a year's time, and thank you for the board's support.
Thank you, Robin. Number 13, whereas the Village of Southampton Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation, BARHP, is seeking to undertake an intensive level survey of architectural and historic structures in 2 areas directly adjacent to the existing Southampton Village Historic District for consideration of inclusion in the village's historic district. And whereas based on the findings of the 2022-2023 reconnaissance level historic resources survey, the BARHP has determined that the northwest and southern expansion areas are the most vulnerable to demolition and insensitive redevelopment in the village. And whereas the BARHP has also determined that without protection through landmark or historic district designation, these neighborhoods are threatened by demolition and insensitive redevelopment. And whereas the village will apply to the 2024 Certified Local Government Grant Program for support in the amount of $50,000 for the project survey. And whereas the village will offer necessary in-kind and volunteer effort valued at an estimated $35,000 towards completion of the project scope of work. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby authorizes the mayor to execute any and all documents pertaining to the village's application to the 2024 Certified Local Government Grant Program to support estimated project costs up to $50,000 associated with the Southampton Village Intensive Level Historic Resources Survey, Northwest and Southern Expansion Area. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
14, resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the mayor to send a letter to OSHA, Occupational
Safety and Health
Safety
Health,
Administration.
thank you. And we should have spelled that out. In opposition to the proposed rules that will negatively affect village first responders related to new unfunded mandates. I will make the motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
This is something that is now not going into effect yet. It's still the comment period that OSHA has out, but it is affecting EMS across the country by placing much more stringent restrictions on physicals and training. And really, it's a one-size-fits-all for paid, fire departments. And this really does not suit the Village of Southampton with our excellent volunteer fire department and volunteer ambulance corps, as well as our volunteer ocean rescue members. And so we will write a letter, as many other villages have, to OSHA expressing our opposition for some of those various reasons. So all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 15, resolve the Board of Trustees accept a letter of resignation from David Alberici, Building Inspector of the Buildings Department, effective June 12th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the hours of operations request received from Matt Weeks, Cooper's Beach Manager, to provide lifeguard operations on Friday, June 21st, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
This is also because we have a school group that will be using Cooper's Beach on that Friday morning, and we want to ensure that we have lifeguard protection for that. Thank you.
17, resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the 2024 application for a surf school license for OC Surf School, locations to be determined, submitted by Luke O'Connor.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
18, resolve the Board of Trustees approves the request from Dr. James Groff, Islamic Center of the Hamptons, to host its annual EID holiday at Agawam Park on Sunday, June 16, 2024, during the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
19, resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the application for Schneps Media to host the Taste of Two Forks, an event sponsored by Dan's Papers, to be held at the Southampton Arts Center on Saturday, July 6th, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. for 700 participants. So moved.
Second.
All in
All in
favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
This was done last year, just for those
Yep.
might not remember.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the Heart of the Hamptons to host their third annual Moonlight Plunge fundraiser at Cooper's Beach on Monday, August 19th, 2024, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. The $250 fee will be waived for this event. Do I have a motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the beach event application for the Bathing Corporation of Southampton at 14 Gin Lane on Saturday, July 27th, 2024 at 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. for 400 guests. Parking exception letters will be provided and must be prominently displayed on vehicles during the event. So moved.
Can I have a motion? Can I second? I'm sorry.
All in
Second
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the beach event application for the Bathing Corporation of Southampton at 14 Gin Lane on Sunday, August 4th, 2024, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for 250 guests. Parking exception letters will be provided and must be prominently displayed on vehicles during the event.
I'll second it.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the beach event application for Bathing Corporation of Southampton at 14 Gin Lane on Monday, August 19th, 2024, at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for 100 guests. Parking exception letters will be provided and must be prominently displayed on vehicles during the event. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And now we have the
So we
walk-on.
have walk-ons. Do I have a second? I'll make a motion to have
Second.
3 walk-ons. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The 3. Who's taking
Okay,
the first one?
the first walk-on. Whereas the Village of Southampton intends to submit an application to the Environmental Facilities Corporation applying for a Water Infrastructure Improvement Act grant to offset the cost of the Phase 1 sewer system construction of wastewater collection and conveyance infrastructure in the village downtown area. And whereas the Village of Southampton has reviewed the project under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and its implementing regulations, and determines that the project is a Type 1 activity. And whereas the Village of Southampton has submitted the project for review to the New York State Office of Historic Preservation for a determination whether the project would adversely impact any state or national listed historic or prehistoric resources, and SHPO, by letter dated May 15, 2023, has determined that the project will not impact such resources. And whereas the Village of Southampton is committed to funding the construction of the project using existing funds, grants, or bond funds as deemed most fiscally appropriate by the Village of Southampton, and whereas the Village of Southampton wishes to delegate to its mayor or his designee to sign and execute any document or instrument required by the EFC to apply for or affect the grant, now therefore be it resolved the Village of Southampton has conducted environmental analysis of a former iteration of this project, which was contemplated but no longer is to include a wastewater treatment plant at 1 Bowers Lane, and the location of which is now yet to be determined, and the full environmental assessment forms parts 1, 2, and 3 for that previous iteration of the project is annexed hereto and made a part hereof, and which is anticipated to be updated accordingly. And be it further resolved, the Village of Southampton will request 25% of net eligible project costs from the Water Infrastructure Improvement Grant. And be it further resolved that the Village of Southampton authorizes the mayor or his designee to execute EFC grant agreements associated with the Village of Southampton EFC grant application for the Phase 1 sewer system and all other contracts, documents, and instruments necessary to effect the Village of Southampton sewer system grant project and to fulfill the Village of Southampton's obligations under the grant agreements associated with the Village of Southampton Phase 1 sewer system grant project. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
2.
Whereas the Lake Agawam Conservancy has offered to enter an agreement with the village for the installation and maintenance of the Gin Lane bioswale, and whereas the Lake Agawam Conservancy has also agreed to work with the village to raise funding through private donations and grants for the installation and maintenance of all the buffers and bioswales owned by the village, and has agreed to maintain said buffers and bioswales, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the Mayor of the Village Board of Trustees to execute an agreement with the Lake Agawam Conservancy for the installation and maintenance of the buffers and bioswales within the Village of Southampton, subject to the approval of the village attorney. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I just discuss this? Is this
Yeah.
just for the Gin Lane bioswale or all bioswales?
All bioswales,
All
they're going to be
bioswales.
responsible for the maintenance.
And are we gonna have some language in there that if we don't think that they're being taken care of appropriately, we're able to,
So we do have, we can access under this agreement, we have a chance, an opportunity to review whatever plans they have so that we can put input in there. And then both parties obviously have a mechanism for getting out of the contract if we're not happy.
and how does it work if we think a bioswale is needed someplace and now that we've given them the authority, they don't? How does that work?
Well, this is pertaining only to the bioswales that have been identified in the agreement. So there,
But new bioswales would be added, would be made a part of this contract, I think.
well,
Right.
but they're not called
They're
for.
not in there now.
Yeah.
What about Bowden Square?
That's in there.
That's in there.
Yeah.
Because that's just about complete. Right.
There-
And
yeah,
a couple of proposed ones are in there.
there are actually 2 that are proposed that are included, but have not. We have grant money to undertake the work, but we have not started any work there yet. And that's at Wickapog Pond and Phillips Pond, which the town also gave us grant money to provide bioswales for those bodies of water. But the good thing about this is the Lake Agawam Conservancy will take over, to a great extent, the maintenance of them, which can be a burden on the village and the Department of Public Works.
Yeah, general stewardship of all the
and
bioswales they would have.
And they will do this through their own, fundraising.
I think it's great. It's fantastic. I just want to make sure we don't, we have some voice in the design phase.
No, that
when
was
we-
included.
When we had the situation with Old Town Pond and the residents saying that, the groundwater was accumulating, which actually, as Trustee Arrest has pointed out several times, that's actually part of the design of the bioswale because we want to catch the groundwater before it goes into Old Town Pond. But I want to make sure that we have a voice in the.
No, we do.
Yes.
But actually, we have a draft of the agreement in
can show it to
Eileen's office that you can look at. But we were working on it today, and I think it covers that completely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's great news. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I think this is a positive. So we had a motion. Is there a second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 3, whereas since 2016, the Village of Southampton has leased the parking lot at 2 South Main Street from the First Presbyterian Church of Southampton for use as a municipal parking lot. And whereas it is in the interest of both parties to continue the lease, And whereas the parties have agreed to an additional 4-year lease at the rate of $3,500 per month, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes the Mayor of the Village Board of Trustees to execute an agreement with the First Presbyterian Church of Southampton to continue to lease the parking lot at 2 South Main Street for use as a municipal parking lot, subject to the approval of the village attorney. So I will make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's very good. And we are going to have a stipulation in there that it cannot be used for overnight parking, because we have found that there have been a few people using it for overnight parking, and that is not the purpose. So they have given us authorization to put signs there that it is not for overnight parking. That, I think, concludes the agenda and the supplemental. So at this time, we will go to comments from board members. And as usual, we will start with Trustee Aresta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, if you have not heard yet, I'm sure many residents in the village will be relieved to hear that the Liberty Gardens application for a housing development was denied by Southampton Town Board earlier in the week with this decision of 4-1. While this was not a matter before the village board, the application was a large concern to many residents, especially in the Hillcrest area of the village, because of its location, and it's immediately adjacent to that neighborhood, and the project's potential impact on traffic and our infrastructure. Just an update we had a meeting with Johnson Controls today. Once again, the company it's doing all the interior restructuring, the HVAC and roofs and solar paneling. So all the exterior lighting throughout the village is complete. So all the lampposts and all, that's all complete. The new HVAC is going in next week at SAC, right across the way, 25 Jobs Lane. That's a big project. So actually they're going to be, they're closed, and it's a good thing that they can get this in before they're open 7 days a week in July, because it's a 3-day project to change from the old system to the new system. Also next week, or it could be the week after, the heat pumps at PD. They'll be working on those in a couple of weeks as well. And the preliminary work has begun in the police ambulance compound area, where we're putting in the new parking and the elevated solar array panels. So they had to do some soil testing because they have to put the poles in and the supports to support the raised solar paneling in there. So they're really working, and now we're going to really start seeing things. DPW has been very busy with flowers and trees and keeping everything clean. And I'd like to thank the ladies of the Village Improvement Society for all the flowers that they donate every year. So that's really a nice thing that they do. And the mayor and I had a meeting with about a new park that the playground that has to be changed, a new playground, to replace the old one in Downs Park. So we just made some decisions on that, and that will be happening in the fall, September, October. So so all good news there, and a beautiful evening, and enjoy, and thank you, everyone.
All right, we will go to Trustee Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Well, it's summertime and all is in bloom. And I'm just so thrilled how pristine and beautiful that Cooper's Beach is looking. And that is not just for one committee or one area or one person. It's a group effort that we like to thank everyone. DPW for assisting, always keeping it pristine, our lifeguards for keeping it safe, our vendor there for keeping everyone happy and their tummies filled. It is just so exciting to know that we have been recognized by Dr. Beach as being the #2 beach in the United States, or as we like to say, the #1 beach in the continental U.S. That's a huge achievement, and it's a thanks to a group effort. We're so proud of that. And people are enjoying our lovely Cooper's Beach. Last Saturday was beautiful as the I Try Youth Organization held their race at Cooper's Beach. Their mission is all about empowering girls and transforming lives. These young ladies raced on Cooper's Beach, which is #1 in our mindset. We're so proud of their determination and spirit as they strive towards their dreams. I say to them, keep shining, keep rising, and being elegant young women. So it was wonderful to collaborate with them. And our Environment and Sustainable Committee had a great meeting yesterday. I'd like to thank them for the innovative insight and innovative ideas and passion on creating awareness and solutions on greening our beautiful village. We will be working toward to educate, inspire, and create solutions to reduce our carbon footprint and applying for grants that will allow us to do so. Like a special thank you to Chris from Johnson Control and Nicole Christian for joining, our grant writer, and we so appreciated their great insight and guidance along with our amazing committee members. It's a recipe for great success. We're on our way and we'll keep you posted. Thank you so very much and enjoy the summer.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. And I do want to just say, Mayor Jerry Larson wouldn't like me saying this, but their Main Beach, came in number 6. All right, we will go to Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. Not so long ago, last week, I was privileged to attend the Southampton Village Fire Department's annual awards dinner. I went with Trustee Brown and the mayor and Trustee Zananti, and Trustee Aresta was not able to attend because she was at her 92-year-old
Seventh, my mother's 97th birthday party.
97th birthday for her mom. So you were missed, but I know you had to attend that event. But it was a wonderful evening. It was a tent in Downs Park. Beautiful, beautiful tent, beautiful setup. A wonderful dinner catered by Ian Duke's organization, Southampton Social Club. And just couldn't have had a better time. And I wanted to mention some of the people who have served our village with great diligence and care for so many years. Each 5 years, the firemen get a service award. And I don't have time to mention everybody, but Mr. Sam Diamond was given the award for 50 years of service. Wow. And Peter Gale was given the award for 55 years of service. So that's pretty incredible of record of service to this village, and I want to thank those gentlemen. The Firefighter of the Year was awarded to Chris Capalbo, and the Officer of the Year to Constantine Beladies. So well done to them. Somehow I managed my name got drawn out of the hat to win the raffle for a $100 gift certificate to Union Burger. So I was immediately suspicious that somehow the fire departments had exceeded their budget or they needed some special favor. I went and checked with our treasurer and everything was on the up and up. So amazing. Sometimes even the blind squirrel finds an acorn. I did win the raffle prize. So that was great. Want to thank Pat Collins and Chrissy Collins, as well as Manny Escobar's long-suffering wife, Denai, for helping organize the event and do such a wonderful job with everything. And also just finally thank Manny, the chiefs, Manny Escobar, Ricky Fowler, and Polis Walker for all that they do. They run a really good operation, and the village is very, very lucky to have this organization providing the security that they do for all of us. So just wanted to mention that and tell them how much I appreciate their service. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will go to Trustee Zananti.
Thank you, Mayor. Memorial Day was observed with some very poignant and touching events. The first one was the Southampton High School Mariners Patriots Club military recognition service, where those students who are graduating high school and entering one of the branches of the United States Armed Forces were recognized and applauded. We also had a Veterans Hall reception hosted by Bob Grismer and his colleagues on Friday, the 24th of May, where the group heard firsthand from veterans who shared their experiences. A very touching, very poignant evening. And lastly, the Memorial Day parade and ceremony was also very touching because we heard various speakers including a professor of military history who spoke about the preparation and invasion of D-Day, which just had its 80th anniversary. And with that, I will say good night.
Thank you very much, Trustee Zananti. So I have a few things also that I'd like to raise. On May 30th, we had Nick Epley and two other of his teachers come in with the second grade class from Southampton Elementary School to get to sit in these seats as well as address the mayor from the podium. And they had many ideas on how to improve the village. We took them all down. I was here with Deputy Mayor Aresta, so the two of us were diligent students of these students, and really appreciated their commitment to the village and their comments. And I want to thank Nick Epley for bringing his students here to Village Hall. Also on the 31st, I attended a meeting at Stony Brook, Southampton. I'm on the committee that is going to help steer the future for that campus and what should be going on at that campus. So I was honored to be asked to join that committee. And so I will keep the village updated on what I take away from those meetings. Then on June 6th, I went to the intermediate school and I attended one of the 8th grade sections with their food trucks. They had the students all come up with different ideas for food trucks. And I went from table to table sampling the food. It was my lunch that day. It was great. They had guacamole, French fries, grilled cheese, brownies with vanilla ice cream topped with Oreos. I mean, it was quite a smorgasbord, and I really enjoyed it. And I appreciate the 8th grade class inviting me to come to their food truck experience there. On June 11th, I met with Sarah Kautz from the Southampton History Museum to talk to her about creating a walking tour within the village. And she was thrilled by the idea, and so she is going to get to work with her staff on coming up with a walking tour that visitors to our village can take to see different aspects of the village, certainly learn about the history of the village, which, as everyone knows, dates back until 1640. And so I look forward to working with her and the History Museum on creating that walking tour. Then on the 12th, yesterday, I was with the other supervisors and mayors of the East End at Gabreski Air Base in West Hampton. We had an excellent tour of the air base and got to learn about what everybody does there. One of our dispatchers actually works over there as well. And it was great to hear what they were doing there. One of the planes had actually just come back from the D-Day ceremonies in Normandy, one of the C-130s. And so it was really great. And they provide an amazing service, for the nation, but also as part of the Air National Guard for the state of New York. Finally, there's some upcoming events that I wanted to mention. So the Southampton Rose Society told me that as mayor, I'm ex officio. So I am pleased to join them this Saturday at the annual Rose Show at the Rogers Memorial Library. The setup is going to be in the morning. There's 1 p.m. The judging ends. And then from 1:30 until 4 o'clock, the public may view all of the roses and the exhibits there. At 3 p.m. will be the trophy award ceremony. And that will be in the Morris Room downstairs at the Rogers Memorial Library, right here on 91 Coopers Farm Road. And don't forget, if you walk down Nugent Street, you can use the new crosswalk to walk across the street to the library. So that's coming up. We also have events coming up for Juneteenth. The Southampton African American Museum is going to be having events at their location, as well as there will be events held in Agawam Park on June 22nd from 12 until 6 p.m. And I do want to remind everybody that the Village Hall will be open this weekend on Saturday, again, for beach stickers from 9 until 1. And for anybody that wishes to come in and deal with absentee ballots from 9 until 4. We've done that in previous years, so we'll repeat that this year. And on Monday, the new slate roof for the Veterans Hall will be started. So, this was something that we wanted to do as it was a failing roof, something that, again, hasn't been done in many, many years. And so we will be putting a new slate roof on Veterans Hall beginning on Monday. The only other thing I wanted to mention is, and I might ask the chief to come up, there is going to be a concert on the grounds of the Shinnecock Reservation, also on June 22nd, from 2 in the afternoon until 10:30 at night, and they are expecting up to 10,000 people. And this will definitely affect the village because of our proximity to the reservation. I'm sorry, Pippa Jard, but I think there's going to be quite a bit of traffic on Hill Street. And they are suggesting that people use the train to come into Southampton Village and then have shuttle buses take them from the train station to the reservation. Other parking will be provided on the Stony Brook Southampton campus. But Chief, I don't know if you want to add anything about this, but this is something that will be controlled by the New York State Police because they have the authority to be on the reservation. They have also allowed the Southampton Village Fire Department to have fire apparatus on site because they will have pyrotechnics, and we want to make sure that we have the place safe and secure for all 10,000 people that will be in attendance. But with that, I might turn it over to the chief because she's been in some initial meetings about this, and I've told everybody about all I know at this point.
So just to piggyback off you, Mayor, I strongly want to warn everybody that there is going to be heavy, heavy traffic conditions pretty much from 12 p.m. on the 22nd to about 3 a.m. It's going to take probably about 3 hours to empty out once the concert ends and get those individuals who came in by train, get them out by train. So we're working with the MTA to try and get a later train out of here that night because right now it's not aligning the way we would like it. It's really not a village event. It is a state police event, and the town and village are working together with the state police to ensure that we can mitigate safety concerns for our respective communities. And, we hope the event goes off without any problems. There's going to be a very large law enforcement presence on the Shinnecock territory and also on the outside. So I just urge everybody to stay away from the area if you don't have to be there. And we're going to do our very best to help mitigate any safety issues or traffic concerns. Powwow grounds.
Thank you very much, Chief. We appreciate your diligence and attention to this. And with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session for the discussion of legal and contractual matters. I believe we have someone who is going to be joining us by phone. So do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We are now coming out of executive session. No action was taken, but we do have another matter to discuss, and that is the appeal request from David Rung on a FOIL request.
Okay, so Mr. Rung filed an appeal of the FOIL officer's response to his January 19th, 2024 FOIL. The FOIL essentially
Speaking to you, Mike.
Oh, sorry, it's not on.
I think it's
Sorry.
on.
The FOIL essentially asked for certain documents related to the village's consultant, Nancy Kane. We sent a response, and he has challenged in his appeal 3 of the issues. One is Nancy Kane's photographs. At the time, he asked for every photograph she's ever taken at a public event for the village. We gave him the one photograph that she took as of that time that was posted to our social media account or used by the village. He's filed an appeal claiming that all of her photographs are subject to FOIL. So that's something for you guys to consider. Okay, so the issue is whether or not you agree that the photographs that Nancy takes at public events are not subject to FOIL if they're not used or presented to the village. That's the issue. Our position, I think, would be that they're creative work product.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, Nancy Kane is not an employee of the village. She's working as a consultant, part-time, attending some events. But again, photographs that she takes are her creative work product, her personal creative work product, and that is not all village property that should be foilable. So I disagree with that.
As to why I agree. I mean, these
Okay.
are all her personal photos,
Okay.
not
This
belonging
is
to the
the-
village.
Very good. The second issue that he raised, were, he had requested all direct media, messages on our social media account. I guess it's our Instagram account. We did look into that, the FOIL officer did. At the time of his request, there were no direct messages on the village Instagram account. And in addition, we would not delete any public comments. So any public comments, if there were any, would still be there. We do not delete them. Mr. Rung states that he strongly disagrees with the fact that we've stated there is no
No direct
direct
messages.
messages. So you have to decide on that issue on his appeal.
Well, I don't know.
I haven't seen any direct messages. I've not received any direct messages.
I think the position is if we can't give him what does not exist.
Correct.
Everyone agree with that?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And then the last issue that Mr. Rung raised was he had requested all text messages and all communications essentially between Nancy Kane and other village officials, employees, including the Board of Trustees. The FOIL officer in response advised him that while there were text messages and communications, of course, between Nancy Kane and other village officials, including members of the Board of Trustees, we determined that those were exempt from disclosure under Public Officer Law 87 G2, which is an exception under FOIL for interagency and intra-agency materials.
Yeah.
So they don't contain any statistical or factual tabulations or instructions to staff that affect the public or final agency policy or determinations or external audits. Therefore, they are exempt from FOIL, and nothing contained in her communications are subject to FOIL from what
They're
I'm seeing.
intra-agency correspondence.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that?
Yes.
I agree with that.
All right, so then, we have a resolution. It says resolved that the Village Board of Trustees has reviewed and hereby denies David Rung's appeal of the FOIL officer's responses to the January 19th, 2024 FOIL regarding Nancy Kane.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you for that. And at this point then, it is now 8:32, and I will make a motion to close this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees for June 13th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Good night.